And I was just going to ask if you wanted me to record, but you're recording, so that's not a problem.
No, Stan is recording.
Oh, Stan is recording. Okay, not a problem.
Musical host, we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to label your name, Tom, just for because we have one person who's not a
Oh,
regular.
yeah. It
There are
Zoom
three
is
of us who
our
um,
hosts.
Meetup thinks are hosts.
Yeah, thank God they don't think I am.
David, this morning when I went to log in on the Brian Torin account, it was looking for a email and a password. It doesn't usually do that. It usually just lets me right in.
Yeah.
So what I need, I don't remember. I think I need to get those two items: the password, the email
Um,
and password in a
the
doc file.
email is mnfuturists@gmail, and you know the password.
Well,
If not, I can give it to you offline
Or if
sometime.
you're like my brother, you have a post-it note on the bottom of your monitor with all your passwords.
Yeah, right.
The ones you refer to, but I mean, if someone breaks in my house, the fact that they hacked the computer is the least of my problems.
send me both
There's some
those
truth
things
to that.
as an email, and then what I'll do is I'll put them into a Word file in the Futurist directory so that if this happens again, I have, because that's what I went to. I went to see if I could have a recent, see, I have an old Word file with that information in there, and I did not. Although I could look maybe under Brian Torin, see if I got it.
Does anyone have any random bits regarding the future?
Yeah. Actually, I do. I have I think about a minute and a half, 2 minute video that I would like to try to share.
Be my guest.
All right. Well, yeah. See, this is
The problem with those short YouTube videos
it's not
is I
YouTube. It's not
always
YouTube.
want to know more information around it.
Well, yes, this is not YouTube. It's real
Okay.
news.
Well,
I'm not saying YouTube is not real news. All right, let me see. So I click the green button, share, and so I got to get my, God. So I've got to get the content up.
okay, there we can see something.
Oh, that's not, yeah,
Minnesota Futurist,
Minnesota
the Ageless
Futurist,
Brain.
and and I got to get rid of this. This is being recorded, which is covering my
If
meeting.
that's not what you wanted to share, you have to pick the
I
one you
understand.
want to share before you share it.
I understand. So
Okay.
yeah, I need to go down and open. Where did photos go? Photos. Oh, that's a great license plate, Water Baby. Let's see here. It's going to be recent.
You've heard the too much information?
No, she's a surfer girl. All right, so where the hell? No, I take too many videos. Where's recent Apple? Jesus Christ.
You're on October 29th through 30th,
Well,
and
that's
you're
not
going
good.
earlier.
I'm going earlier. Anyway, never mind. But anyway, it was about, and it'll be part of my presentation, and it encompasses China and AI both. It was that recent Acrobat or whatever it is, which is a Silicon Valley AI that's very useful, widely used in industry. The Chinese governmental actors, bless their hearts, learned how to hack it and do a what's that called, where you storm someone's server, denial of service, and they did a denial service on like 5 different companies just as a test, and it was successful. And Acrobat, or whatever their name is,
It's Anthropic.
Anthropic with a backslash. I love it. Yeah, Anthropic. They released it because they detected it. And anyway, this blurb is this a shot across the bow? No. This was a cybersecurity governmental, the real deal guy. And he said, no, this is but the tip of the iceberg that is to come
That's
with
true.
AI. That was his point.
That's true. Yeah.
And the guy says, well, that sounds pretty scary. He goes, yeah, the future of AI is scary, and the future of our relation with China is scary. Be scared. That was the point. Anyway.
I had one too. It's called Project Suncatcher, and it's a Jeff Bezos deal for no plan for no plan B. Anyway, it was to make sure that we start, and he's going to get started into putting AI data centers in space, and it's seemed to make sense, when you think about it. If you could park it out there, run it on solar energy, and you wouldn't have some of the issues that we're having nowadays with data centers, with electricity and water. And I checked on the water issue, and it's like, yeah, there's other systems, you guys probably know this, but other systems where immersion in fluids, I guess Shell makes something that you can put the data units into. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting because, if we can put something out there and use renewable energy, that's good. He said data centers in space, companies like Star Cloud, Lone Star Data Systems, and Axum, I can't spell it, Space are developing off-planet infrastructure. So that's definitely future stuff.
Absolutely. But you don't even have to go to space to get some of those benefits.
Right.
If you put your cooling system in the ocean, if you figure out how to deal with the corrosion of the salt
warm
water.
the ocean even more, right? That's a great idea.
Well,
That obligatory science fiction reference, John Ringo's Console War Stories has a supercomputer in orbit that runs the planet.
Oh.
Oh, and we can't get there anymore. So the supercomputer is in charge. Called Mother.
my hand's been up. I wanted to follow up on the space idea. I've been watching the Nova 2-part on the International Space Station, and we have polluted LEO, low Earth orbit, unbelievably, and the Russians had a big thing to do with that. And it's getting worse. It's getting exponentially worse as they throw more Teslas into orbit and all that. Yeah. And yeah, so building something critical out in space is maybe not a good idea at this time, and may never be until we get the Roomba up there to vacuum all this crap up. There are, I mean, they can only track 4 inches and larger, and there are 15,000 of them, and then literally millions of there's a name, micrometeoroids, that are a grain of sand that can take you out and take out your equipment.
Dean, do you want to unshare?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I posted an item in the chat. There's a Gavin McCormick who works with a company called Climate Tracking. Not a company, but they're an organization called Climate Tracking, which does a very good job of nailing down just exactly who's polluting and how they're polluting and where they're polluting and so forth in terms of the accountability factor regarding um, pollution. And so if you, and it's a free service, you can go to their website, climatetracking.org, and you can see, I tried it the other day, or just a couple of days ago. I looked at Minnesota, I looked at Minneapolis, I looked at several different cities. And one of the things that they show, besides just the company and the amount of pollution they're putting up, and what kind of pollution, cement or power plant or whatever.
Now, question.
They also show the plumage and which way the wind's taking those areas. And in the area around Louisiana, and it's in the south where there's a lot of refineries, almost all the most serious polluters have plumage going into areas where they have minorities and people who don't have the financial wherewithal to make a difference.
Now, Stan, by pollution, you mean local air pollution, global warming, air pollution, ocean pollution, land pollution, space pollution? You're talking about local toxics in the area, right?
Yeah.
There are 1,000 kinds of pollution that we've created. Yep.
Check out that site. And Gavin's got a very good TED talk. It is 3 years old, but I think that the information is still worthwhile. And it's basically giving people real-time information about who's polluting where, and it's something that you don't have to wait for a governmental research paper, or it's kind of been prior to this. You've been sort of waiting for the polluter to fess up as to what they're doing and how much they're polluting. And even if they decide that they are going to give you that information, it's usually their numbers, the way they want the presentation to go, and it doesn't have to be done in a very timely manner. So this is a chance to sort of you can't fix something you don't know that exists, or you need some measurements involved to know how to fix it.
And how do you fix it? That requires government regulation, God forbid, right?
Well, some people actually want to fix there was one example they saw where somebody had a leak in their methane system, and they were just told about it and they fixed it. So there's some companies actually want to.
Right. Some do. And David, I heard you say my God forbid government regulation was facetious.
Well, but that's an ongoing discussion that isn't going to end
Nope.
after our meetings get done.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
Nope.
guys, Dave, you're after me to do a presentation. I got one ready to go if you're interested. I think
Okay.
dangers of AI. You got
Oh, wait a minute. We're going to have a lot of those.
Oh, I
Right.
got a really cool one. I just showed it to my son to try it out. He thought it was very interesting. Simulation, largely about how AI could take over a period of time, and all the convulsions that things that would go on, and so it's speculative, but it's fun. As sci-fi goes, it's not too crazy.
No, it's not at all crazy.
And then tomorrow,
you may
just
remember I did a presentation back in February. We are the horses.
Mm-hmm. And I also have some stuff, very disturbing stuff about Sam Altman, also sometimes called Scam Altman. who's, I don't know what he's contributed except just phenomenal ability to get rich people to give him huge amounts of money. He's now committed to spend 1.4 trillion. Last quarter, he lost another 23 billion. He doesn't have anywhere near the money he's committed to spend. Now it seems he's hinting that it's important to national security that the government bail him out.
Yes,
And
of course.
and also there's a huge ongoing lawsuit for most of this year by his little sister who claims he sexually molested her from her age 3 to 12. And in fact, with all these billions, he hasn't been able to get rid of that. He's not convicted, so I can't say he's a child molester, but it's interesting. I think that with all his billions, he hasn't been able to dismiss that lawsuit. It's supposed to another, I don't know if it's final decision on December 18th.
He's got to write a bigger check.
Yeah, he's going to have to write a big check, I think, or he'll just be ruined. I mean, who's going to, and plus all of the people that I do sort of trust, like Elon Sutskever, no, he's not Elon, Ilya Sutskever and a few other people that I think are really sincere and brilliant that have worked with him all seem to call him a pathological liar. And one person who's, I forgot who it is, he said, if you put him on an island of cannibals and he come back in 5 years, he'd be king of the island. He's a
That
great
sounds
talker.
like our president, but we won't get into politics if we can
We
help
won't.
it.
But one thing is, a president of any stripe cannot pardon civil suits.
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
they can pardon every other criminal on the planet, and but they cannot dismiss civil suits. They don't have that power. Only criminal.
When I was talking about the data center in space, there's at this time there's at least 13 data centers proposed for Minnesota. Only one operational, which is out my way over at Rosemont, and I drive by it all the time, and it's just amazing what's going on out there. And I mean, they actually built a huge tent, hard tent kind of item to just serve the people, meals that are out there working. It's
And get ready for your electric rates to go up by 30% in the area.
Now, why did the public have to pay for all these billionaires to get even more billions?
Right.
Is
The
that
average is 30% where they're building these mega data centers.
Is that facility on the river?
Rosemont is right, just what is it, east of Apple Valley, between Apple Valley and Highway 52, right, just south of Pine Bend Refinery.
If they're not using river water, they must be tapping into an aquifer.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Well,
But
that's
from California,
the drinking water for the whole area. I mean, that's the other thing with those data centers. They use tons of water.
And coming from west of the Rockies, what's an aquifer? We used to have them.
We have another, even like, I guess it's like they say about 8 to 10 times bigger than this one that's going in now, proposed for Farmington, and the people there are fighting it tooth and nail. I mean, they want it in the community, but they don't want it, and it's really,
they want the jobs and the money, but
they want the jobs and the money and the SUVs. Yeah, Farmington. There's the irony. Yeah, let's build a data center in Farmingtown.
Let's see if we can't raise hands from now on.
I've been trying. I'm muting.
Okay. Dave, do you have a date for presentation on that?
That's a question that we should address. Do we want to have meetings the week before Christmas and the week before New Year's? Dean?
What
You're
day?
muted.
What day of the week is Christmas on this year?
It's a weekday, I believe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it's
I'm gonna here, I got a
Thursday.
calendar right here. Let's see.
Christmas is Thursday. New Year's is a Thursday.
New
So
Year's,
it's kind of
Christmas are
midweek.
Thursday.
That is,
Some years we've canceled them, some years we've held the meetings on those
yeah,
days,
Thursday.
Yeah,
depending on where the holiday falls.
I don't mind having meetings, but it's just me.
That's fine.
yeah.
I'm for it.
I have no objection to having meetings then.
Okay, well, in that case, we need presenters for the week before Christmas and the week before New Year's.
Okay.
And I haven't carried the schedule any farther than that, so
Can I sign up? I'll sign up for one of those dates.
Can I do
Yeah.
that? Yeah. Week before.
okay.
That's the
How about-
20th or the 27th.
oh, can I have the 20th and get it over with before I lose it or something?
Sure.
Okay.
Dean, the 27th of December?
I'm pulling up my calendar. I'm scrolling down, and TSA just reminded me that my TSA pre-check expires December or January 15th. Cool. I got to get that renewed in case I ever would be foolish enough to get on an airplane again. December,
It seems
December,
like the last year
Christmas
or
Day.
so.
Okay, Christmas Day. So the week before is like a week away from Christmas.
The
20th
20th.
or 27th.
Right. 26, 2027. Let's see. Friday is Kwanzaa, which we celebrate here in the ghetto. Yeah. So which one are you offering me? The 19th?
20th.
No,
I
the
mean 20th.
27th.
27.
27. Sign me up.
Okay.
And
Thank you all.
yeah, I saw your David Grider at gmail.com is gone now. And is it David E. Grider that works?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And E
Thank you,
stands for Edward?
My wife's maiden name is E-Golf.
E-Golf?
So it's
You mean like the video game?
EGOLF.
I've
All right.
seen it. I was wondering if you were a golfer or what.
Yeah.
No,
E-Golf.
it's a Swedish, it's a Swiss name, as I understand.
Oh,
Back far enough.
yeah, because my
Okay,
son's hobby
it's
is
10
trying to guess
o'clock.
names.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was just saying my son's hobby is trying to guess nationality of names, and we're pretty good at it, but I wasn't sure about that.
Okay.
No, I love
Well,
E-Golf.
German.
That is a unique middle name.
Yeah.
All right. The presentation this morning is a book called The Ageless Brain.
And where do I buy one?
Oh, Amazon, of course, will always do that for you.
Yeah.
Brain?
You might want to check
Book or a
out
brain?
Abe Books. Yeah, if you're wanting to age-proof your brain, I would suggest looking at some of his videos, but there are a lot of them. And this morning's presentation is kind of a sad story, but typical for futurists. It's hard to know. It's complicated. But this one's going to be interesting, I think. This particular author has been studying, talking about, writing about neurodegenerative diseases for roughly the last 12 years that I could find easily on the internet. And he has some good points and some bad points. As with any new discipline, the existing experts are typically not impressed. Absolutely true for Dale Bredesen, who wrote The End of Alzheimer's, and then he wrote about some of the patients. Well, he wrote another book about his procedure, and then he wrote another book about some of the patients, and then he's written this one that came out early this year. The Ageless Brain is basically his protocol for preserving mental acuity. You're going to find at least as many people who are not impressed with it as you find who are impressed with it. I've read it now, and I was impressed with him. The short form is that he says there are lots of different ways to mess up your brain. The functioning of your brain is complicated. One size fits all doesn't work. But the usual diet and exercise gets you a long way. Well, he's been a professor out in California. Not that that tells you all that much, but for the last 30 years. So at least he has some things going for him in terms of his publications. He's published something like 200 or been involved in many publications, most of them in second tier magazines, second tier, not the best, certainly not peer reviewed. The AMA is not impressed at this point with his approach. I think I found something over 10 different YouTube videos of more than an hour over the last 12 years. So there's lots and lots of his information on the internet. In some ways, he's not the greatest presenter. He jumps around from subject to subject. He doesn't always finish his thoughts, but he seems to know his subject pretty well. One of his early success stories has to do with a lady who is now one of his trainers and is just finishing up, maybe today, a walk across the United States from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida. Is that right, Lynn?
Yes.
Scheduled to finish her walk today. Anyway, it's a publicity stunt. He has a connection with Apollo Health that he talks about being a Apple group. He's trying to monetize his expertise. So you should take that with a grain of salt. But I thought if you wanted to play that first video, Stan, We'd start with the lady who just walked across 3,000 miles in 8 months, 7 months, somewhere in
And
that
she's
range.
81 years old.
Oh yeah,
That's
she's 81 years old. She was um, diagnosed with Alzheimer's when she was 67. And proving something by one example is not known for being scientific method. Most of his publications refer to small sample groups, which is a concern in the scientific method. It appears that she has basically an RV with a driver. As you can imagine, if you're walking somewhere between 10 and 22 miles a day, you don't exactly know where you're going to end up at the end of the day. She has a number of sponsors, including a shoe company, and it's not clear how long it took her to raise the money to be able to spend 8 months walking across the United States. And as I say, it looks like a great publicity stunt. Dean?
My comment is bless her heart. And you know, it probably is the intersection between nurture and nature.
Yeah. And after having been diagnosed at 67, to be able to walk 3,000 miles at 81 and talk that well, clearly it's not the usual result of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
No.
Alzheimer's is a disease. It's typically fatal. It comes with an array of comorbidities, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The typical comorbidities are heart disease, stroke, cancer,
Diabetes.
diabetes. It's often neurodegenerative diseases are now commonly called type 3 diabetes, if you will. But it's the insulin resistance. They're all commonly found together, coincident. Causation is a little more difficult. At any rate, Bredesen suggests there are 36 different potential routes to the similar set of symptoms that we call neurodegenerative diseases. 4 different primary areas of concern, each of which has 3 or 4 different secondary. Dean?
Yeah. Just point of order. 67 is very late for early onset Alzheimer's. I mean,
No,
it's on the ladies' side. These people that there are people that unfortunately have a family history of Alzheimer's, and sometimes it's 47, and they die at 57. You know,
early onset Alzheimer's is showing up in the 20s 30s, and 40s.
That's scary.
It used to be thought that you get old timers disease. And there was nothing you can do about it. And that's what many of the websites will still tell you, that there are no cures for Alzheimer's. Eric?
Yeah, I just saw that this morning. I think it was a British study that now there a huge spike in Alzheimer's in the 50s, and they're attributing that to tentatively to all the highly processed food that people eat, the sugar and salt and added sugar is maybe the biggest, simplest thing that everybody can do. Just read the labels of anything you eat and try to minimize added sugar, and then keep your sodium down to, my cardiologist says, 500 a meal and 2,000 milligrams a day. Those are two big things. And get metformin. I try to get a gram a day of metformin, which is used for pre-diabetes and diabetes. That seems to be a general preventative of aging. And then
Well, there is a problem with general preventative things like aspirin, blood thinners, and we're learning more and more all the time about medicine. Let's see. Was it Carol and then Tom and then Dean?
I think it's Tom then Carol.
Tom Carroll.
Okay. Tom?
I would like to recommend a similar book. It's called The Unbreakable Brain by Will Mitchell. It's interesting that in the conclusion of this book, he references Dale Bredesen too.
Yeah.
But this book talks a lot about, well, the chapters are understanding how the brain works, risk factors, which include diet, lifestyle, exercise, smoking, and so forth. Drugs, lots of drugs and medicines that affect brain function. When to get tested, what does the brain actually need, particularly dietary and physical activity and mental activity, and then supplementation. And then it actually gives a 28-day plan, kind of a involving sleep, exercise, and what you put into your body. So it's kind of a practical plan to implement many of the ideas that Dale Bredesen also suggests. Well, that's worthwhile looking at if you can find a copy.
Do you want to put a link and the author in the chat?
I did. I didn't put a link in, but I did. Name,
Oh, okay. The Unbreakable Brain. Yeah, there Will Mitchell is the author?
Yeah.
Okay. My suspicion is that the more people talk about this, the more obvious it's going to be to us. Clearly, when somebody can walk 3,000 miles at 81, there's something there. Oh, by the way, she is also trained as one of Dale Bredesen's protocol health advisors. So there's a financial incentive there for her also. Carol? And
Yeah.
Tom, your hand's still up.
Well, yeah, I also wanted to mention one other thing, but now it slipped my mind.
It'll come back.
Oh, the cause of Alzheimer's. They've been blaming it on the plaques that, in the brain that accumulate mostly due to inflammation or whatever. Well, they have treatments to get rid of the plaques, but that does not solve the problem. It's what causes the plaques that you have to attack, not the plaques themselves.
It turns out that the plaque is a antimicrobial protein, and so your brain produces it when it's being assaulted by microbes? Carol?
Quickie question, bacterial or viral microbes?
Yes.
Both.
Yep.
Okay, now to my original question. Do we at this point have a definitive test for Alzheimer's,
Yes.
short of autopsy? Yes?
Yes. About $900. Not covered by Medicare.
Okay, but something that would distinguish it from
We'll get
mini
into that.
strokes.
We'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
What Wells, I'm going to cut in front of you, Dean.
Yeah, no, I
We'll
was
get
going
back
to
to you.
refer to
We'll
Wells.
get back to you.
Yep.
Sure. Should I go now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll be brief. I'll just tell a little bit about my story. So I just recently got diagnosed with ADHD. I'm about to turn 50. And it started my journey to discover, a little bit more about myself, and it explained a lot about the frameworks that I have set up over time. And through my research, I started to actually worry about this a lot. So I just discovered that starting at age 40, the brain naturally shrinks 5% per year. And to slow it down, the idea is to perform activities that will create new neural pathways that allow the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere to talk to one another better, because that deterioration, every decade, starting age 40, 5%. And so I've come across some shows that actually have helped me understand this better. If any of you have watched Limitless by Chris Hemsworth, or including Chris Hemsworth, it's I forget what channel it's on, but it started off with him just wanting to kind of go through this growth, right? This
National Geographic and Hulu.
Yeah. So this period of self-actualization, and at the end of season 1, he discovered he is the gene that makes him more susceptible to Alzheimer's, and so that's very good. But then I'm also a fan of Diary of a CEO, and I watched a couple episodes where Dr. Robert Lustig started talking about it. So if you all, none of you are familiar with Dr. Robert Lustig's work, he is a endocrinologist at the University of Southern California, San Francisco. And he talks, I would consider him like a very public figure type of physician. And he talks about a lot about how Alzheimer's is now linked to diet, much of what you all are saying, but even more specific in that 98% of the foods that we eat today that are just in our normal grocery store are
the typical American diet.
Yeah, it's all the sugar. So it's sucrose, which our body uses, but then 50% fructose, which we don't need. And moreover, fructose is a toxin, and it's processed by the liver, much like alcohol. And apparently you know how like when you drink too much alcohol, you can get, cirrhosis of the liver. Apparently we are consuming as a society thousands of percent more of that toxin than we can process out. And that has some sort of link now to Alzheimer's. And so anyway, the recommendation there is when you go into the grocery store, shop on the outsides. Don't go into the aisles.
Well,
But
it's complicated.
yeah. for sure.
What was
Okay, Dean?
the first TV show you mentioned? With,
So I'll put them in chat. The first one was Limitless with Chris
Oh.
Hemsworth. And the second one is Diary of a CEO. And I'll put Dr. Robert Lustig's information in here too.
Dean?
Yeah, so I was just watching something on the unbelievable increase in colon cancer in women, and it's linked to diet, and it basically the old thing. I had some Stouffer's chicken. It was really good pasta from Smart and Final, and there was no ingredient that I couldn't pronounce and wasn't familiar with. If it has an ingredient you can't pronounce, and we should not be able to pronounce fructose because it is poison. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
I would like to suggest that there are various long-term complicated effects associated with being alive. And science doesn't really like individual examples that are of things that are correlated. Okay? It's almost impossible to look at diet in the United States and have any kind of quote normal or quote healthy. And you're going to be able to find conflicting advice because our minds don't work nearly as well with statistics as they do with recent examples. If you look at a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, you're going to have all sorts of examples of mental shortcuts that we take because we're basically lazy. We don't like to do mental effort if we can help it. And so we've got all these shortcuts. But that's a different presentation. Tom?
Losing 5% of your brain every year is,
I don't know.
Decade.
oh, for a decade. Oh,
You did
that
say
makes more sense.
year.
That makes more sense.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant decade. That's partly part of my stuff.
He said decade.
Okay.
First he said year, then he said decade, so that's okay.
There's no question that Bredesen has been around a while and has explored this area rather thoroughly. And as I say, he's trying to monetize it. He has a procedure, a protocol that he recommends, and he talks about neurodegenerative disease similarly to having a roof with 36 holes in it. And there's no single silver bullet, but there's a lot of silver buckshot. And if you don't address all of the different possible pathways to neurodegeneration, you're not going to fix the problem. Carol?
Yes, just a comment for Dean. I have absolutely no trouble pronouncing pure cane sugar.
Or even xanthan gum as a thickener. I know where that is.
Well, that's a little weird, but I think can't pronounce it has holes in it.
I had if you're done, I had a follow-up for a Wells question.
Yeah.
Because I have a bit of both. Is there a link between ADHD and Alzheimer's, possibly?
I don't think so. It's just a tangential worry that I have of myself because I walk into meetings and I'll forget words and those things.
If I might venture an uneducated guess, they are both associated with how the brain works. And so, of course, they're going to be connected.
That's true. Probably true.
Am I sharing screen at this point?
Yes,
Yep.
I see protocol.
This is a criticism of Bredesen's, one of Bredesen's articles. It's about 3 years old. Basically, everything that's pointed out, Joanna Helmuth, MD of the UCSF Memory and Aging Center, has reeled in patients and their families seeking hope outside of the physician's office for a disease that is currently incurable. Almost everything in this particular criticism is quite scientifically accurate. But now think about a medical breakthrough. You're not going to have peer review even let the doctor or this researcher who is presenting the breakthrough publish their information in peer-reviewed journals. It's going to have to come in from outside. It's something new and different. I'm not sure who was first. I'm not watching
Stan is up.
carefully enough. I'm sorry. Stan?
Stan is up.
My observations, I have a brother who's 12 years older than I am, who first experienced a stroke, and then he had a few other issues in his life. His wife passed away and so forth. My this is kind of too close to the trees to see the forest because this is a family member. But I've been kind of convincing myself that there's a certain element of critical thinking that I think has to be engaged here in your life in order to combat the elements of bad thinking that basically pervade your diet and your attitude towards exercise. And I think that if you have the right kind of mindset that is kind of keeping your eye on the monitors or on the UV monitors or the things that kind of make a difference, and you basically keep your head on keep your finger in the wind, even following the journals, and not get tied into irrationality, and expose yourself to good mental and general health. That's kind of part of the cure. That you have a healthy mindset, and that you stay on top of all of the sugars, I know that there's a term called caramelization, which if you eat a lot of sugar can cause a problem with a lot of your organs in your body, including your eyes. That happens when you do too much sugar. But bottom line is that I think that somebody has to be mindful of what's going on with their aging process and try to stay ahead of the game. I'll say one thing about my brother is he's healthy, he is overweight, and well, a couple of things about my brother. And Dean, whenever I go down to see him in Des Moines, Dean keeps asking me, well, how is he doing? He will answer questions if you ask him, but he stopped telling stories. And to me, if you're not telling stories about what's going on in your life, that's a certain lack of cognitive awareness.
Okay,
I
Dean's
would caution you in terms of correlation versus causation, but we're learning. Yeah.
Who?
Tom?
Dean's next.
Oh, sorry, Dean.
Yeah, can you unshare so I can see people's lovely faces?
I can, but I want to
Don't then.
mention
Don't
the
bother.
last two paragraphs of
Yeah,
this
no, okay,
particular
I
article.
got you. So, diet, and I've heard this now several times, that there is no diet for 8 billion human beings, and they are working hard on looking at your DNA, whatever, and being able to design a diet for you that works for you.
Yep. And there are very different genes involved in the 8 billion people that we're talking about. The ApoE4 gene apparently is one that is correlated with neurodegenerative disease in old age. But the thing about old age is that as we get older, as an apex predator, we build up more and more heavy metal toxins that are known to affect neurodegeneration. So, depending on what you've been eating, you can expect that this would be normal. We know a little more about how to detoxify, and the liver does that for us normally, but typically it doesn't work forever, and it depends on how much you abuse it. So it's complicated. Who's next?
I am.
Okay.
Getting back
The
to-
last thing I would like to say, though, about this particular, to date, there is no evidence that extensive, costly regimens of dietary supplements are effective. As you might imagine, the pharmaceutical companies have the money to be able to do gold standard testing of their products. Supplements don't have that. So you're not going to find those kinds of studies being done. That doesn't mean there isn't anything there to find. Okay.
Going back to the criticism of Bredesen that you just showed us, I would kind of expect that from the establishment in the U.S. here especially, because
Absolutely.
they're trained on cure, not prevention. The U.S. is very good at developing cures for things. but we're very bad at preventing them from happening in the first place. And that's why
Right.
we have the lowest life expectancy of all the developed nations.
That's part of it, but it's also a question of how we pay for health care.
Well, yeah, we have the most expensive healthcare by a factor of 2 compared to all European countries, and we have a lower life expectancy by several years. So we have
Yeah.
because
So we pay more and get,
basically, yeah, our food and so forth is dominated by the corporations who are just looking for a profit and trying to get us hooked on sugar and things like that. So that standard American approach being cure, not prevention, I think Bredesen and people like that are trying to address that. And but so there's a lot of work that needs to be done there still, I think. But I think they tend to be on the right track. As you say, separating cause from correlation can be tricky, but I think progress is being made there.
I've mentioned a book called Ingredients, where they make that case quite clearly for food.
Yeah, we're basically victims of the food industry.
Well, and our capitalistic system.
Yeah, profit above all else. Yeah.
Well,
Who's next?
well,
Tom Trites.
H. Tom?
Okay.
I thought Eric.
The
Yeah.
first thing is if you look at your Zoom screen, up on the very top, next to the thing that says recording, there's a little thing called view. If you take view and someone is sharing screen, select side by side gallery, and then you will see the little pictures going down the right hand side of your screen with the big shared thing over here so you can watch both at the same time.
And it will reorder them as to who put their hand up first.
Yep.
If you had also selected participants down at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
And the other thing is that keeping your health is much easier than fixing your health. And when the
cheaper.
doctor says, much cheaper, because the medical system is basically set up. I'm not going to say it was intentionally designed, but it feels that way sometimes, to cure, not to prevent.
Right.
And my parents told me how to live my life, and they turned out they've become good gene stock, I suppose. I still have an uncle who's going to be 102, still doing a round of golf every day.
Wow.
But if you want to keep your body, you have to move it and use it and bump along.
And your brain.
It's 20 miles a day is a lot, but it's not really that hard if you put your mind to it.
7 hours of walking
At 3
Well,
miles.
that's kind of
at 3
slow.
miles an hour.
That's kind of slow. You should be able to walk 7 or 8 miles an hour.
At 81?
82.
Well,
The most beneficial is supposed to be intermittent walking, fast and slow combined.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
anyway.
complicated and it varies from person to person,
Mm-hmm.
and you can start where you're at.
Yes.
Dean?
Oh, am I unmuted? Yeah, you guys get me off track. God, like I can't do that on my own. I'll leave my hand up.
Concentration is one of the
Yeah, well,
ways.
I'm multitasking. Unfortunately, come back to me,
Okay, then lower your hand.
and then I'll raise
I
it.
thought it would be worth listening to Dale Bredesen. The next video is basically 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 23 minutes. I guess the easiest way would be to just play it through and then talk about it afterwards, if you're up for that. Lynn?
That would be quicker.
Dean?
I'll defer to Tom while I reread my notes. I took a lot of notes.
Okay, I do have a couple questions or points. One is, what is KAATSU?
Yeah.
When I look it up, it says it's deep fried boneless meat, but I don't think that's what he meant.
That's probably not the right one.
We-
It
we-
doesn't really matter,
we
but it
need a
is a
dictionary of-
exercise program.
We need a dictionary of acronyms. He threw out at least 30, 40
Dean,
acronyms.
stop. What'd you say, David? You said it's an exercise program?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, spell it
Yeah.
so I can go look it up.
Exactly.
I hate to waste the time, but
Okay.
yes. K-A, oh, God.
I assumed it was
K-double-A, K-A-A-S-U.
Okay.
KAATSU.
Okay. I didn't have a double A when I looked it up.
I
Okay.
said
KAACSU.
T.
Lynn says it's got a TSU, yes.
Kilo Alpha Tango Sierra uniform.
Yeah. Okay. And
But
I
it's
wanted
not
to,
critical.
I wanted to comment on what he was saying toward the end there. It sounds like it's a good idea to get tested. And then saying, well, if you show any signs of dementia, you should go on this program. Well, I think why wait? Why not go on it even before you show any decline? It sounds like he was saying this is a program you need once you show some symptoms. Can you comment on that, David?
Yeah. Although basically I'm not an expert. I'm just talking about this particular book, The Ageless Brain, and some background information. This is not my area of expertise, but absolutely he's got the protocol for recovering once you're showing symptoms of Alzheimer's, either the second, third, or fourth stage, is his recode program. And there's a precode program that's intended not to get there, to keep you from getting there.
Okay.
And the Bredesen 7 is the summary of the program. The 36 different holes in the roof, if you will, they fall under those 7 categories. nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, mental stimulation,
Detox.
toxin detoxification, and supplements. Those are the 7 categories that he talks about lifestyle changes where you get away from our typical American diet, where we sit in front of a computer or a television for 6 to 8 hours a day or more.
Okay, Eric, you're next.
Yeah, I didn't see anything yet that he really refute or anything against what he says, but I'm just curious if he has credentials and he's been in the game a long time and he's well known, and there are foundations with big money and hundreds of very bright billionaires that are very interested in not getting Alzheimer's. Why isn't he able to convince anybody to give him enough money to fund the studies that will pass peer review?
Think a little more about peer review. How long does it take to change a typical scientific what's the book?
Paradigm.
Paradigm. Thank you.
I look up Kuhn.
Thomas Kuhn, yeah.
Thomas Kuhn.
Scientific revolutions.
There are,
It takes a while.
Hasn't changed for 50 years since I
that doesn't
read
mean
the
they're
book.
all stupid and don't understand that. There are many people with
No, that's
Minus-
not what I said. The gist of that particular book is that paradigms change as the old guard dies out.
well, somewhat.
Yeah.
They're not.
Gene?
They're not all that rigid in their thinking. Yeah, it's easy to blame them,
No,
but
humans are very
bright
rigid
ones.
in their thinking.
Huh?
Humans are very rigid in their thinking.
Tend to be, but
Let's
they're
just
not.
say,
Aren't. There's some that aren't.
yeah,
Like,
some are and some aren't. And most of us are mentally lazy. And until we're forced to work harder at it, we don't typically change our opinions. Dean?
All right, I have 5 or 6 or 8 things. The brain-gut connection, which I learned about decades ago, and then it turns out that there's also a biome in the brain. So what I have done is taken oral probiotics, thank you, Jeff Bezos, and gut probiotics for a long, long time. And I know anecdotally that they help me. The other thing was briefly when I lived in Excelsior, Minnesota, we went on county welfare. We could not buy ketchup with our welfare check, period. That was a dessert, with and now with SNAP EBT, you can buy 300 pounds of Fritos or no worse, Fritos, yeah. So that's the PepsiCo and diabetes industry combining forces to make us unhealthy and then sell us pills that will make us healthy.
Speaking of desserts, they're all around us. For example, Subway, the bread at Subway is in Europe, it's not classified as bread, it's classified as a pastry because it has so much sugar in it. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
So what we call bread here is really mostly not good for us. A lot of it.
It's not whole grain. It's not really 100% whole grain.
Well, yeah, that's true too, but it has a lot of sugar. That's
Right.
why it gets
Yeah,
classified.
that's one of the things I said. The biggest thing, the simplest thing that anybody can do is just minimize added sugar intake of added sugar.
Yeah, it's not easy because it's all around us.
Well, you have to read labels
The
if you're gonna.
normal diet. Oh yeah, I read labels all the time, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And the normal diet is just loaded with lots of salt and sugar.
Yeah.
Especially like TV dinners, you know, frozen foods, lots of salt in those. Some of the
Yeah,
most
my
popular
yeah, my
TV
wife,
dinners.
yeah, my late wife said wisely, she was very high IQ. Said you noticed she was into food, it was a foodie, and he said if they advertise low salt, low fat, or low sugar, you can be pretty sure that they've raised one or two of the others, the other two.
Yeah, could be. I think Dean's next.
I'll defer to the next two.
Yeah.
Ak?
Yeah, hi everyone. So lovely video, and yeah, Tom, as you're saying, I remember I got into yoga because of Subway because I ate the yoga mats, right? It's just a joke, but no, I mean for sure, like salads and all, you could also opt for that. But I found an interesting video yesterday. Actually, I wasn't aware of this, but sugars actually could also contain glycophosphates now because the way we produce sugar is through whether it's like byproducts of high fructose corn syrup or any other things that big agriculture usually uses to make it. And that was a surprise to me in the video that I watched yesterday, because I was like, wait, so now I have to even watch, because I used to titrate my sugar, meaning I would decide how much sugar I can add in my food for whether I'm baking and so on and so forth, because I try to stay away from processed foods in general. But I think they've also now changed, the FDA has changed the way they label the stuff. So basically, instead of calling it GMO, I think they now call it bioengineered products. So if you went into like the biscuit slash cereal aisle, you'd now notice that it doesn't say GMO on it anymore. It says the other word, which is bioengineered fruits, which is fascinating to me. It's like, wow, now you have to be afraid of simple things like sugar as well. So that's scary. I'll post the link in chat in a minute. Thanks. I'll pass it to the next person in line.
Is that H. Tom or Dean?
H. Tom.
Dean. Oh,
Okay,
Bread-
either one. Let's flip a coin.
as a
ahead.
prize-winning bread maker, I can assure you that bread does not require sugar.
Yep.
You can add it, and some pastries do require sugar, but those are pastries. That's part of why they're called pastries. You don't need to
And
put sugar
while
in bread.
it's very easy to say sugar is a poison, the less you eat of it, the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to say. It's not at all easy to do. The same thing applies to salt. We have millions of years of history that says eat more salt, eat more sugar. And for most of that period of time, sugar and salt were not readily available all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For most of that time, we didn't necessarily have food every day, anytime we wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
So fasting turns out to have some effects on the human body that are good for both your health and your mental health. That's easy to say and very hard to do.
Can you put what's on the screen, that link in the chat? The SwissMedHealth.com. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Mechanisms of
about half of that, Eric.
the mechanism, what's on screen right now. Could you put that link in the chat? The
Sure.
SwissMedHealth.com.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is SwissMedHealth.com. I don't know anything about it. I just thought it was interesting that they were talking about the protocol and the clinical evidence. The comment that there seems to be something here. And this apparently was a 2020 study that they're referring to.
Actually, looking at this, that core elements is what I've been doing for the last 40 years.
Mhm.
I could interject just for a second, on back on the bread.
Raise your hand. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I was talking about
Bread.
bread, so I'm trying to continue my thought. There's a popular one out there I've seen called Dave's bread, and it looks really healthy,
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
but they add sugars to it, and for some reason they add cherry powder to every variety they have. I'm allergic to cherries. I tried eating a slice. I was up all night, in the bathroom.
Yep.
I survived, but
Cherry powder?
there's so much strange stuff put in everything, even stuff that's supposed to be good for you, healthy.
I'm waiting patiently.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, so anecdotal but true. When I was working 2 jobs most of my life, I would do fast food. And Jack in the Box, which is 24 hours, I would get their version of the Big Mac and yada yada. And I was gaining weight. This is in my 30s. I started getting a middle-aged spread. And I had a friend whose brother was a bigwig at Food Maker, whatever they call them, Jack in the Box. And she says, "So what are you eating?" I said, "Well, I try to eat fairly healthy. I eat Jack in the Box burgers." She said, "Dean, those buns are 90% sugar. No wonder you love them." And I quit Jack in the Box for 6 months, still did fast food. And I lost 15 pounds by not changing my food intake one iota. No wonder you love them. The buns are all sugar. That's a fact. How do you make a bonus jack taste better than a Big Mac? You load the bun with sugar, and we love it.
Oh, it's addictive. Well, 2 more hands are up now. Are you going to show a video, David, or can we take more questions?
More questions. I mean, I can show you another video. The next one is 40 minutes of his different presentation, but the emphasis is pretty similar.
And David, how long? And 40 minutes. Okay. And can you turn closed captions on or any kind of captions, which would help me?
Yes, we can do that.
I
Okay.
can do that.
Okay, Eric, you're next.
Yeah, you mentioned bread. I found one that I don't have the kind of energy and motivation to make my own, but I had this Ezekiel's bread that I've seen multiple places recommended. It seems really good. It does not have any sugar, and it's the reference is Ezekiel 4:9. It's the biblical prescription of bread. And I've seen
419. I've eaten Ezekiel for 50 years.
I like it, and it's healthy. Yeah, the ingredients, it says organic sprouted wheat, filtered water, organic sprouted barley, organic sprouted millet, organic sprouted malted barley, organic sprouted lentils,
wheat in
organic
there.
sprouted soybeans, organic sprouted spelt, yeast, organic wheat, gluten, and salt. It does have 75 milligrams of salt per slice, but nothing's perfect.
And
But
we don't get them here in San Diego anymore.
oh my
And
gosh,
they're
get it
not,
on Amazon. You can't get it on Amazon?
probably.
Yeah, try it.
But they also have a hamburger bun that is delicious.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, Gene mentioned breads, and I was like thinking of Jack in the Box. I was like, okay, I can't wait for the day where they make breads literally out of cotton candy floss. Because you could shape it and then you could slice it, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
the only issue is gonna be like when the moment you put a hot patty on it, it might just disintegrate. So it might not
Mm-hmm.
do that like long lasting effects of bread that can be like out and look perfect for like years without catching mold. And talking about Ezekiel, I tried it once. I personally didn't like the taste, but what I found fascinating about that is because I do my own fermentation stuff. Is that you will have to verify it's real. It's actually you have to keep it refrigerated. So when they sell it to you, you won't actually get the Ezekiel bread like dry and out in the normal bread aisle. You'd have to open up a fridge to get it. So you know
Yeah,
it's the
I
real
can't keep
thing.
it in the
So that's
freezer
important.
until I'm ready to eat it.
Exactly, because if not, it will start decomposing because of its being
Yeah.
sprouted seeds and stuff like
And
that.
they
They
So
have
don't
yeah.
do
different
that in
variants. You
San
might
Diego. They
try the
throw it
little
on the shelf.
raisins or something if you.
They throw it on the shelf. The rest of the lesser 49 freezes or refrigerates it. But in California, they throw it out on the shelf. It goes bad, and then nobody buys it.
Well, what do we to waste about 40% of our food supply in America?
A lot.
Yeah,
We can,
overall about 40%.
David, we don't quite have time for a 40-minute video, but are there parts of it you would like to show?
no, I think actually I would like to talk a little more about the future and how this applies to the future.
Okay.
I like
Let me
that.
see if I can't show you another. I thought this was interesting. The Mayo Clinic connects. Someone on it wants to connect with other people who are following this process. As I say, I have my doubts that anyone is going to put together a large study of this particular process anytime soon, partly because personalized medicine is going to be more expensive, but it perhaps could be done through the internet. I doubt that you're going to be able to control all the different factors that he's talking about easily or cheaply.
Right. Well, yeah.
Dean?
Let me unmute. Yeah, that was my third point. He is talking about elitism because he mumbled a couple of times, oh, this won't be covered by Medicare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so if you can go buy a $500 test for this, that, or the other
The
thing.
test is about $900 currently. It used
Yeah.
to be $1,300. So
And
it's
Medicare
certainly
don't cover it.
available.
Do you think the average person has $900 to
No,
fiddle?
but
They don't.
the point's already been made in this meeting. I think it was Tom suggested that we pay twice as much as Europeans for our medical care
That's a given.
and get less good results.
That's a given.
Which President Trump is actually the first one, and I know of, that's actually trying to remedy that. Give him some credit for a change.
I would give somebody some credit for that,
Right.
but not very much, because you can't destroy the whole public health system and then expect to be able to fix it with band-aids. It just isn't
Right.
going to work that way.
And Dems, Republicans both have been on the pharmaceutical and the food companies' corporate payrolls for decades.
Yeah, if you pay attention to your best customers, and if you're running for political office at this point in time, your
Which is
best
obvious.
customers are the people who donate money to your reelection campaign.
Yep.
What can we say?
But that's
Until we change
socialism.
the
What have
rules,
socialist countries ever contributed to advance in medical research? Russia, China. How much, relatively, how much have they contributed to advances in modern medical health?
Yes, it's a
Almost nothing.
two-edged sword, like everything.
what does progress look like?
Extended life, healthy lifespan, healthy,
I agree.
healthy life.
Yep, I agree. But neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have a corner on progress.
Capitalism is
It's time.
terrible, except for all the other systems.
That's exactly right. Yes.
It's the worst except for all the others.
Tom, go ahead.
China has contributed Tai Chi to the world.
Okay, but not under communism. That wasn't a product of communism, of the CCP.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But still, Tai Chi is one of
Feudalism,
the
yes.
great goods of the world.
Okay, Dean.
Yeah, so yeah, that is the conundrum, because as Eric pointed out, it is unbridled capitalism that spurs innovation, and it's socialism that does a better job and cheaper job, in many cases, of taking care of people, and there's the conundrum.
Yeah, but in theory, though, yeah, I got talking to the janitor when I was doing biomedical research, chemistry research at BU Med School, and it turned out he had been a colonel in Castro's army and defected, and he was better off medically, his medical, as a janitor at BU Med School than as a colonel in Castro's army. I said, well, what about the allegedly free medical care and free medicines there? He said, well, in theory it was free, but they never seemed to have what I needed in stock.
Yes, but that's also a result of our boycotting Cuba for
Those jokes are not made in America. They're made in the cheapest place like India or Turkey or something.
No, the
Yeah.
Cubans ain't happy.
Look at what medical care and social network do they have in communist China? What happened to the iron rice bowl? What?
See, that's why I'm neither right nor left, because neither provide me with any answers.
Daryl?
They both provide you with answers. It's just that the answers are not necessarily persuasive.
That's
Daryl?
the problem.
Yeah, if these guys would quit talking, I would actually ask my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The two people that I have been intimately connected with who were diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but that was back in the day when we did not have a test short of autopsy. Showed one very strong characteristic, and that was an inability or a very serious deficit in transferring short-term memories to long-term memories. And okay, in one case, this was my mother, and I could be having a conversation with my mother, and she was totally coherent, interesting, sometimes brilliant on things that she had known for 20 years. You know, I could have a conversation with her about her favorite author and, you know, fascinating insights, beautifully coherent conversation. But along the way, while we were talking, things would come up that were new. And like she'd ask me the question, you know, we'd been talking about Marjorie Rawlings, who was her favorite author and had been for many years. And then she said, oh, hey, Carol, did Mike ever get that job that he was looking for? And I'd say, yes, he actually got that good job that he was looking for. I did back in August. And then we go, you know, talking about more things, other things. And 10 minutes later, she'd say, "Hey, Carol, did Mike ever get that job that he was applying for?" And I'd answer, "Yes," and tell her a little bit about it. And she had incredible difficulty transferring that short-term memory that she had acquired to long-term memory. And the same was true for the one other Alzheimer's patient that I was fairly seriously connected with. Is
One of the
this,
challenges of caring for people with neurodegenerative disease is
yeah,
hearing the same story and answering the same question over and over again.
yeah. But again, she was beautifully coherent and interesting on stuff she had known for 20 years.
The moral of the story is try to avoid neurodegenerative disease. And we are learning more and more about it, but that doesn't make it easy.
Yeah. But is
And
this a specific problem? I mean, he mentioned like acetylcholine or something as a memory thing. Is this
I
something
think
that could be addressed specifically?
how specific you want to get and how deep into the precise details is not something I can provide for you. What I can provide for you is a general overview and the suggestion that as we learn more about public health, the typical American diet probably isn't ever going to work well for the typical American.
Okay.
How do you stay sane in an insane world? I don't have an answer to that, but I can guarantee you're going to be out of step. I would say that the likelihood here is that there is something factual involved. If we can live long enough without Alzheimer's, we will eventually learn how to avoid it. That seems to be pretty clear. Dean?
Now Stan is next.
Okay.
I was listening to Eric comparing all the negative aspects of communism to China and so forth. And I think that most of the time, a better way to look at a healthcare system that uses the proper level of socialism maybe would be Sweden, and Finland, and Norway as examples of being able to have the innovation and the incentive to take care of preventative care as well as the trying to cure somebody who's gone off the wagon with their diet and their exercise and so forth. That's I just think that they're just immediately going to China as an example of what is not really good is maybe missing the point.
Or Russia. Well, first of all, yeah, and I know about it, and I agree with you in many ways. I plan to emigrate to Sweden for about 10 or 15 years because it seemed the best place in the world, and I never expected to have it much money. But there is a myth, though. First of all, it sort of works there because the people there's a high level of altruism and a high trust society, And because they were a homogeneous population, they felt that they were all one big family and should look after one another. That is gone in America now. Also, as to them being socialist, 90% of at the time I checked it, 90% of Sweden's GDP was produced by the capitalist part sector, and they do provide some, more benefits for most people.
And they probably wouldn't be nearly as homogeneous a society if a lot of Americans emigrated to Sweden.
Yeah, they've lost it. It's on the way out now because of their pathological altruism and the fantasy delusion of wokeism that all races are equal and all cultures are equal. It's gone now. They've gone from the lowest crime rate and violent crime rate in the world to one of the highest in Europe now. It's not even. I don't want to get it. It's just so blatantly obvious. Yeah, what a disaster! You really want America like that? Do you?
We already have
We
America
have
like
America
that,
like
don't
Well,
we?
that.
Trump's trying a little bit to reverse that and hold the line a little bit. I don't know how he'll.
No, Trump is a con man. He's telling everyone what they want to hear.
He's
But
doing
that's
it.
okay.
America
We'll get through that
Okay,
also.
let's get off the politics.
Try to look at the other side. What they're
Thank you.
politics,
Yes,
please.
I agree. Let's get off of politics.
But history, America was founded on bringing immigrants in. That's why I'm
That's
here.
true.
Which kind did they? Some were very successful, and some were more successful than others.
Yes.
Okay, I think
And America was founded on tax evasion.
Yes.
Dean, did you have your hand?
Yeah, my hand, it goes down because I'm interjecting. Yes. So, China and Russia are not communists or socialists. They're totalitarian.
Yes.
And then getting back to ADHD and Alzheimer's and old timers and all that, everything is a spectrum, including sexuality. And ADHD is a spectrum. What's the other one? Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
If I could interject a point that Bredesen makes in one of his other videos, the human mind is amazing. Apparently, we can memorize more information than you can put on a hard drive, a reasonably sized hard drive, and process it with less energy than any of our computers.
20 watts.
Something less than 20 watt. 20 watts, is that right?
Yes, for a brain. Human brain uses about 20 watts.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of machinery, if you could call it that, that's fine-tuned over millions of years of evolution. And there are lots and lots of ways to mess it up.
Yeah.
The future is going to belong to those who can manage not to mess it up. But thinking we can compete with machines has been a losing battle.
Yeah.
We can choose to not compete with machines. And if we want to provide jobs for everyone so that everyone can share in the economy, we're going to have to make that a choice.
Yep.
This whole issue of public health, it seems to me, is an interesting issue in governance because you can't provide worldwide public health without providing it for everyone. That's not the way diseases work. If some people get sick, it usually spreads to other people. And if we could figure out how to keep that from happening for everyone, it would be better for everyone.
Benevolent dictator. That's what we need.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice, except that
Pipe dream. Yeah.
the human tendency is that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, but we won't go there either.
Nope.
Who's next?
Ah,
Dean?
I wasn't quite done because I interrupted myself.
Oh.
So the other one is autism is a spectrum. Every human being with a Y chromosome is on the autism spectrum, anywhere between 0 and 100%, I guess, you know. And yeah, that's a truism.
Again, it's complicated.
God, life is complicated. Yeah. I'll defer to Ak.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I wanted to comment on was mentioned before about being sane in an insane world. I would like to refer to that quote that the Cheshire Cat used, which was "We're all insane or mad down here." In Alice in Wonderland, because if you take that into factor, it's like, okay, fine, you start with the status quo and you leave it as is, then um, even any incremental changes start with, you can work your way towards sanity from insanity, which is an interesting way of looking at it. And then the when it comes to like neurodegenerative diseases and or other physical ailments too, there's a saying, famous saying that people talk about always, which is the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, which is what they're trying to talk about, right? Like early detection of, let's say, cancer or so on and so forth. But at the same time, it all comes down to balance, and it was mentioned about the fine-tuned instrument as well. Like, if we've only got, I think, as human beings, opportunity for the last 200,000 years, and compared to dinosaurs, we have not been as long on Earth as they would have been. But it is very fascinating to see like what we have accomplished in this tiny time scale. And from a futuristic perspective, assuming we don't blow ourselves up with a nuclear warhead, um, I think there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I think I might have mentioned this last time with the diabetes thing. But I've recently found out that actually, if you take a glass of yogurt, or not whole glass of yogurt, but normally in Indian cultures, which is where I come from originally, we have buttermilk. We call it buttermilk, but it's not buttermilk, or the original word is chas, which is basically take 2 or 3 tablespoons of yogurt, plain yogurt, has no sugar, and you basically add some water, and we usually drink that as a quote unquote probiotic thing with our foods, because if it's too spicy, you can kind of um, have that buttermilk to kind of alleviate the spiciness of food. But at the same time, it actually is healthy too, because it contains lactobacillic bacteria, and they're known to ferment sugars. So you're basically kind of micro adjusting your microbiome while you're having your food, which could be high in sugar, but that would counteract the effects, because most of the work is done by the gut bacteria to basically convert those sugars into hormones and so on and so forth. So that's an interesting concept, to kind of merge fermented foods with normal foods that you're having, to kind of reduce the glycemic load of the foods that you eat. Yeah, thanks.
Harold's next.
Yes, I find myself obviously wanting to avoid all the sugars, fructose, dextrose, everything.
Mhm.
But I would like to get some sweetening in there somehow. Now, most of the artificial sweeteners that have come along have turned out to be very bad for human beings.
Stevia is not artificial and is very sweet.
Well, I was just about to ask, has there been good testing on stevia, and is it safe?
There
So
is
far,
testing
seems to
so
be.
far.
And monk fruit extract. You can look that up. Research that on AI, Grok.
Yeah,
Monk,
stevia is,
I would like
M-O-N-K.
I
I
think
would like
stevia is
to
okay.
recommend ingredients again because it's complicated and people are varied in their response to various ingredients.
Ingredients.com or Ingredients the book?
It's a book called Ingredients.
I can remember that.
And FICA, am I pronouncing that right? Hasn't had anything to say, so go ahead.
Hi there, yes. Thank you.
Hmm.
I think one of those very important factors when it comes to brain functions that wasn't, it was discussed, but I think it's, at least this is what I believe, that is extremely important to look at is loneliness and disconnect between humans. I find that, right, if we look at the rate of dementia, especially in the more industrialized countries, the rate is much higher. And one of those factors could be, I've looked at some studies, the chronic loneliness that people are dealing with, which going for long enough time could affect brain in physical ways, and it could affect the mood. It could affect, again, in every possible way, it could affect functionality of human beings. And this is, again, different than social isolation. However, it's important to note that we see so many people around us. We see millions of people around us being very productive in this society. They're highly educated, they're highly influential people, they're connected with one another, they go to work every day, they have, at least on Facebook and Instagram, they have beautiful, happy families with thousands of friends. And yet, when we look into their lives, when we start talking to them, we can see how lonely the majority of people in the society actually are, because the connections are extremely superficial. Most of the connections are based on, I want people to accept me, I want people to like me, I want to be someone, again, in this society. But human beings are not 100%. We're not meant to be 100%. And hiding those flaws, hiding those shortcomings, is really one of those, I would say, reasons why people are being pushed into loneliness, chronic loneliness, and with that suffer the really significant, unwelcome effects of that. Again, going long enough for people, it could bring tragic consequences, which start at it cannot start at a young age. Again, with certain diseases like Alzheimer or dementia, when people show the actual signs, we start thinking, oh, they just got this, but it actually starts much earlier in life. It can start in middle age. It can start much earlier than that, but we tend to forget about those. We tend to not see the signs because we're not connected, right? And if any time people want to get together, it's usually let's drink so much that we don't actually talk about sensitive topics. We just come together, really, right? We don't want to hear about people's problems. We don't feel safe enough to tell people about our problems. So let's just be as superficial as we can, get it over with, so we can go back to work tomorrow. But this is how we don't see all those signs in one another until the tragedy actually happens. So one part of it, I think one very, very important part of it is to be aware of the importance of human connections and try to prevent it. Try to look at one another when we actually have the time to look at one another and recognize humanity in each other. Not wait until it happens and then we think, "Oh, why did it happen?" Right? Because then there is not much to do about it. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
agree. Totally agree.
Carol has her hand up still.
No, I just forgot to take it down. Apologies.
Yep. Thank you. That was, who was that? Who?
That was Speaker.
Micah. She needs to collaborate with me on my evils of smartphones, etc. Yeah, I mean the
Well,
increase. So we are instantly connected with anyone in the world through our devices, and we are less connected than we have ever been in history. Fact. You cannot a 14-year-old or 16-year-old cannot look you in the eye and engage in conversation because they do that on their device. And it is, yeah, it is. Steve Jobs, I'll meet you in purgatory, buddy, and we'll sort it out. Yeah. Yeah, I know how wonderful phones are. I know GPS. You don't need social media to have GPS. You don't need, you know, yeah. I mean, the more we supposedly get connected, we get emotionally less connected. And you referenced the fact of human connections. For me, it's a cat, but it works. And my brother. But yeah, men who have a partner, male, female, doesn't matter, tend to live longer, especially males, I think. Females, somehow they have a different chromosome. But yeah, I mean, we need some kind of connection. And for me, all of you people in this room are a connection that makes me feel good and want to get up tomorrow.
H. Tom. Go ahead, H. Tom.
I was going to say that I use liquid stevia and swerve for baking. And Marty likes Truvia.
Okay, what is Truvia chemically? Is it stevia or-
I don't remember it. I think it's a blend of 2 artificial sweeteners in little stamp-sized packets.
That you can't pronounce.
I do not remember what's in it, and I'm not going to get up and go upstairs and get one and bring it down and read it.
I would have
sure.
something to contribute to that discussion, but it's definitely personal story. I cannot support it with scientific evidence. But my father basically ran a health food store for 10 years after being a mechanical engineer for 25 years and a sales engineer for another 10. What he told me was that the airline pilots had to avoid artificial sweeteners if they wished to keep their jobs for the last 10 years of their working life. They could not pass their flight physicals if they had been using artificial sweeteners. That's just hearsay, something he heard from somebody who talked to him at his health food store, who was an airline pilot.
Okay. Now, is stevia artificial or organic? It's a leaf, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a natural plant, and I think they extract the thing, like I guess they would extract essential oils, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it is like a minty plant.
So anytime you process a plant, it's no longer natural, right?
To some degree, yes.
Yeah.
Unless you like take handfuls or fistfuls and just put it down in one's mouth.
Yeah, that's not what we do, though.
Yeah.
Okay, Lynn, go ahead.
No.
No, can't hear you.
Why don't you log out and log back in again and see if your
You're
mic is working
The
properly?
headset
She's
must not be
muted.
working.
Damn technology.
Well, while she's doing that, I just have a fairly quick
she's on mute.
Yeah, she's muted.
now.
She
She
is
wasn't
muted.
before.
Yep.
I wanted to mention about sweeteners also. The sugar alcohols, sorbitol, maltitol, xylitol, basically anything that ends in OL, bad for you.
Yep.
But they're really popular. I mean, look at gum, for example. It's mostly sorbitol.
Yep.
Benson too.
Yeah. But I mean, one of the common effects is diarrhea or something like that.
Eat a bunch of it.
I can't tolerate them, but basically they screw up your gut biome, and they mess up your system that handles sugars, because your system thinks it's getting sugar, but it's not really. It's something else, and it messes up your digestion, the gut biome, the digestion in general. So
Yep.
those are good things to avoid, but they're very common. Anything that has reduced sugar probably has added sugar alcohols.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
By the way, I think
I have a lot of people who think they're being virtuous by drinking Diet Coke. And
I did that for decades and then realized you moron. And then
Rather drink water.
it's not helping them lose weight. It actually
nope.
Yes.
It has a reverse.
It actually fools your system
Yes.
into thinking it's real sugar.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's let
That's
Lynn
why
say
it's-
something.
Okay,
Lynn,
Lynn's back.
can we hear you?
no.
Nope.
Lynn's microphone seems to be cut off.
Yeah, the mic's not
She's not muted.
up or something. Okay, I guess Eric's next then.
Oh, one other surprising I've just learned about recently is erectile dysfunction drugs, also formerly known as phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors, specifically tadalafil. Well, it's I just found from Grok that it causes a 32% reduction in Alzheimer's risk, which is pretty huge, actually. And they work by increasing blood flow to the penis is the main reason people take them. But apparently they also do something similar to the brain, improve the blood flow to the brain. I'm sorry, Carol, I don't know what the effect of women is.
In males, penises and brains are one organ. Yeah.
I thought they were opposite. I thought they were opposite. If there's a little Swedish saying, I don't remember how it goes, but basically, if the blood goes to one, it goes away from the other. If it goes to the penis, it goes away from the brain.
Yeah, that too.
It seems like it, but that's not really true. Yeah, it looks like Lynn is ready to speak now. She's with David.
What did you want to say, dear?
I wanted to say two things. First of all, in regards to stevia being a plant, tobacco is a plant.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's not a totally, if it's a,
it's
a plant,
natural.
it's okay. But the other thing I wanted to say is about what was said about loneliness and comparing the loneliness of men with women. And that is that men have a higher threshold of reticence, which can be overcome. That I know, there's these men's group, and I see these men toddling in there, and they're in their late 90s. And in that context of their men's group, they have lowered their threshold of willingness to share. And that's anecdotal, but there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to mention before we get too much longer that next week is going to be Warren Poole talking about magnetism and new forms of magnets.
Love it.
Just a quick question. If you had anything else, David, I was wondering, you mentioned talking about the future. Do you have anything about future research or anything that you would like to mention?
Well, not really, because it's not my area of expertise, but I will mention that I have noticed this emphasis on diet and exercise across a lot of what we consider to be the diseases of aging, heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, neurodegenerative diseases.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn more, quote, scientifically over the next generation. But it's not going to come easy.
There's been a lot of brain research going on, and it's continuing, and that could affect this area too.
Absolutely.
All kinds of things. That's the one I think I don't understand about Elon Musk is with his genius, why his apparently low priority of brain research of all his priorities. Like
Now we're back into politics, Eric, and your hand was not up, but that's
okay, but
Yes.
H-Tom.
Carol,
yeah,
you don't have to be 90 or 80 to become involved in men's groups and see huge transformations, even in men in their 20s.
Yep.
When they come in, I'm a spiritual elder for the Mankind Project. We do men's group circles, and they can change your life. You're not required to change your life, but you may find that when you look back after 5 years, oh, I changed. And then I like this.
I personally tend to seek out men who are pretty far in the direction of being good communicators.
Oh, that's because you're a
It
female.
just is part of my personal life.
No, it's part of being female.
Okay, Dean, one last comment.
Yeah, on the spectrum of cognitive disability. So, when I was in my 20s and really in my 30s heavily, I would have the go out the door to the garage syndrome going to work. And I go, oh, you forgot A and B. Go back through a door which was like 12 feet from the kitchen, not remember what in the world I came back in there. And I've had that virtually all of my life.
yeah.
So, I know how to deal with forgetfulness. I've been down, I'm cooking turkey thighs right now, and I've been down to the kitchen 3-4 times, walked down there and totally forgotten. And my record for going to work is 3. And my girlfriend was there. All right. So now you're late for work, Dean. Oh, I'm back in the house. What did you come back to get? I don't know. My car keys or whatever. And to Carol's point, in with connections and females, the reason that Adam donated his rib was to create females, because God knows, small g, that we need them and that men need them. And to Tom's point about male connections, they also are very important. And a male that can kind of balance that. It's why I only rescue female cats.
Now, on the other hand, my son, who is a cat person, I mean, he currently has 3, and He says that male cats are friendlier, snugglier, more inclined to adopt you as a human.
Yep. And here's the problem why I haven't adopted male cats is that their territory tends to be 5 to 10 times, and our cats have always been indoor, outdoor, right? Our female cat doesn't go more than 12, 15 feet from the door. The male cats tend to have a territory. We've had male cats before. And their territory is like, I come home at midnight or 2 a.m. and I go, what the hell, black cat? What are you doing down here in the middle of the night? Yeah. And the female cats tend to, and that's across all feline species on the planet. They have a smaller territory than males do because males have to find females and females will just wait for the males to find them.
I have one other thing I would like to say about the ageless brain from the point of view of a futurist. He spends a little bit of time in one chapter talking about soonism, where he's not willing to say when the future is going to change. But it's coming soon.
Soonism was 2 O's, not SU,
Oh.
not an Oriental.
SOONISM is his chapter 13.
Wow.
And I think it makes for very interesting reading from a futurist point of view.
An Ageless Mind, I can remember that. No, I need to read that.